Hey, Ty. Just can you take us through the process? The fourth line, we talked this morning, you have chemistry, and you know that you can impose that in a game. How did that happen? It just seems like it happened right from the start.
Yeah. A lot of different pieces have worked this year with that fourth line, and anybody that kind of goes in or plays. We all have a little bit of chemistry. There's been a lot of different combinations, so just trying to bring energy and feel pretty comfortable with those guys.
Ty, you have a kind of similar experience in Game 5 last year against Vegas. You're the hero in that game. You're the hero in this game. What is it for you against this team in these series, and what does that moment mean for you? Just playoffs and big. A lot on these games. So it's just about trying to win a game for this group, and everybody's been playing well. So just trying to help the group and keep that going for them.
Ty, I know the team slogan is a little less for a lot more. You've had a lot less for a lot more. Like after a great season last year, you've had to sacrifice a lot of your ice time and your role. Like how hard was that, and how gratifying is it to contribute tonight?
There's been part of my game where I've needed to improve and sharpen over the course of the year. So a lot of it's on me as well, and I've been challenged in that sense to keep growing my game, and we have a really deep group. So everyone's been playing well, and that's what I've been working for. Just when the chance comes and someone goes down, that I'm ready, and to make sure I'm ready. So that's all it's been, and just keep trying to sharpen my game.
Jamie, how big is it to come back in this game? Obviously, they came out, they imposed their will early on, but you guys fought back both physically and with some key goals.
It was just big for our group. There's no panic in our game. We knew they were going to come out hard. They're a good team. We weathered the storm and found a way to win.
For Ty, the physicality and just how close these games have been, does this feel like a playoff series that maybe should be played a little further than the first round? Does it feel like you're deep in the playoffs right now?
Yeah, two good teams going at it. Two really good teams going at it, and it's just the way it is. And we've been going back and forth, and it's playoff hockey. It's exciting. Whoever you're going to get, it's going to be a big test, and so it's just a great series.
Just Jamie, I don't know if you could describe Roope, right? He blocks a shot, looks like he's in pain, and he gets rewarded with the empty netter. Does that kind of sum up the playoffs, sum up what you need?
Yeah. I mean, you got to pay a price to win this league, and that's a perfect example.
Jamie, once again, on Ty, he comes out there and, before morning skate, he just seems like he's really been very positive throughout this whole process. And I don't know if the other teammates feel that, and same with Craig, just coming through. I know it's hard to be a scratch sometimes, but then to come in and play the way they have just shows a lot of character.
Yeah, we got a great group. No better teammate than Ty. We all see what he's done throughout the year. Works on his game every day. A great teammate, and that's all you can really ask for is a teammate that's fun to be around. Works his ass off, and when he gets his time, to play, he goes out there and makes a difference.
Yeah, that's how you win championships, doing stuff like that. Not everyone is gonna, have chances to score goals or, get the points or whatever. That stuff doesn't matter this time of year. It's plays like that separate, winning a championship and going home. So, it's not gonna end up on the score sheet, but, one of the biggest plays the whole night.
What can you say about this team just being down 2-0, coming in this building, winning 2 games?
Yeah, it's not surprising. I think to anyone in this room, I think we felt good about our game in Dallas. Just didn't go the way we wanted to, and we series go a million different ways, right? It's not always how you draw it up, and teams have come back from down 3-0, 3-1, so it's not over unless you give up, and no one in here has given up, and now we're right back in this series, and just couldn't be more proud of the way the guys played and just the decisions and the little plays that separate, this time of year, and just the way that Pete was preaching, just playing the right way, and it was a great message, and guys took it and played the right way and got rewarded.
You know Ty very well. How hard is it to stay focused throughout everything he's been through?
Yeah, it's, there's no one in here that deserves that more than him, and I live with him, so I get to see. I've been through everything that he's gone through this year, and just the way that he carries himself, and there's no one that puts the team more in first than him, and he works his butt off and never has a bad attitude, and has just stayed ready for when he got his name called, and played great tonight, and shown that he can step in and be a great piece to this team. So there's not a lot of people that are happier for him than me, that's for sure.
I would say the body language that he shows when he's out there with the first down on the, I mean, he does all the little things you're supposed to do to show you're a big member of the team, even when he goes, 6-8 games without playing.
Exactly, and you never know, some guys, carry the way that they're playing on the ice on their face, and you'd never know with him. He's just, puts the team first, wants what's best for the team, and, he knows when his number's called, he's going to step up, and he's done that. And like I said, just so happy for him. And, there's tons of guys in our organization that are like that, and, it's just everyone wants to win, and, not everyone's going to have the exact role that they want, but, if you win the championship at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
We hadn't really seen the depth scoring like we had in the regular season through the first 3 games here. How important is it to get that piece?
For sure, yeah, it's huge. You're going to need different guys to step up every single night, and not everyone's going to have their A game every night. So whether that's me or guys that don't normally are not expected to score, just stepping up, making huge plays, and the goals are big, the blocks, just the decisions, the chance to cheat for offense, but instead, making sure we're good defensively. Those little decisions are what makes a difference, and we did all those tonight.
And the Dadonov goal shows just how a series can turn on just one shot.
It's crazy, yeah. Just, I'm sure, half the goals in playoffs are just throwing shit at the net and it hitting something, and like even Dell's goal just hit off an arm and go in. So hopefully we learn, they've scored a couple goals like that, throwing it at the net, hit something, and next thing you know, it's a wide open net. So just throw pucks at the net. You're going to score dirty goals like that in the playoffs, and we had a couple good ones like that tonight.
Just for color, you and Ty share a house, a condo?
He lives at my house, me and my
lives at
fiance's
your
house, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Does he pay rent?
We're still working through that.
Yeah.
He's been on dish duty, so that's kind of how he's paying for his rent right now.
So maybe give him a little break off.
Yeah,
get a
for
goal,
sure. For sure.
Discount.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And just for your color, what jersey does your brother wear?
He wears Delly's jersey, yeah. I know. Second
Little
favorite
brother
player,
wears
yeah.
Ty Dellandrea's jersey.
Yeah.
What, to games? Or
Yeah,
Wherever, around the
everywhere.
house.
Yeah, I'm like his 5th favorite star.
what's his name?
That's all right, Thomas.
Thomas Thom.
Yeah.
Aiming for Dellandrea's shoulder, was that like a set play or?
No, it's kind of in between passing and shooting. It just, I don't know, it kind of works out. Get pucks towards the net and good things happen. A little bit of an accident there, but good things happen. We had to bounce off it for sure.
How's it feel for you guys to contribute that way, right? To get a big goal?
It's huge. Margins are small out there. I mean, quick stick here, quick stick there. I mean, it changes different plays throughout the game, as you can see. So there's not a whole lot of space. Whenever we get a chance to chip in, that's huge. I think we got a lot of talent in this room and doing a lot of the right things, and it's nice to get a bounce.
What is it about your team to come in this building and get 2 in a row after losing to home?
I mean, it's huge. It's playoff hockey. Anything can happen. I think it's 2 good teams out there. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of room out there, so it's you go either way. But it's nice to get the 2 here.
I was going to say, how hard was it, that first scratch in the playoffs? And you're a veteran, you've played a lot. It was a tough call on his part, and he told us that there was no easy answer. But then for you just have to deal with it and wait for your turn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's got some tough decisions to make, so it's kind of out of my control, and I just got to be ready, whenever I can jump in and help out. So it's a lot of fun. It's the best time of the year, and you want to be playing, but I'll do anything these guys want me to do. And just want to contribute and be a part of this.
Just how hard, well, I guess you just answered that, but just how hard is it to, from a hockey standpoint, to sit, right, and then jump in a playoff series?
Yeah, I mean, you stay engaged. I think, you know, I've played a long time, so I've played a lot of playoff games and been a part of a run. So you just got to be ready to go and you know, watch the games, stay engaged with the guys. You know, especially after the games and what's going on. So I think the coaches have done a good job of that, and you know, it's a good room in here. Everybody who's jumping in is going to be grabbing the rope and pulling in some way.
We haven't really seen the depth scoring like we saw in the regular season in the first 3 games.
Yeah.
To get goals from Dadonov, Dellandrea tonight, how important is that to play a part in this series?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about our depth guys stepping in. We've had a couple injuries. You know, we got 3 pretty good players out right now in Hawk and Pa and Faxa and Marchment, and guys have come in and you know, it's been seamless. Not only jumped in, but you know, had an effect on the game. So you know, that depth has been great, and you can feel it. It's contagious, you know, to our group. You know, those guys are really really driving a lot of plays for us. So they've been fantastic.
Front right.
Hi, Pete. Paulo Dos Santos, NHL.com. You mentioned on Saturday that you felt your team was building in terms of just their game, but seems like he's been building his game ever since, you know, an early, you know, that first game was kind of he wants him back, but just generally, just how has Jake performed in these recent games and just building his game?
Yeah, I think exactly like our team. Man, when we needed him to, and he has. You know, I thought tonight was his best night. Third period, he locked it down, made some huge saves. You know, when he gets in that zone, he's a really tough guy to beat. You know, I like how our group's playing around him and defending around him, but, you know, we bent a little bit tonight. You knew they were going to push back, and, you know, he made some critical saves at key times. So we're going to need that, you know, 2 out of 3 going home. You know, he's got to be one of our best players, but I feel like he's in that zone now.
Mike, go ahead.
Hey, Pete.
Hey, Mike.
You talked about how hard it is when they get the lead. In this game, you guys pushed through it anyways.
Yeah.
Anything in particular that you did? I know the power play helped a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you knew they were going to push in the first, and they did. I thought, you know, despite the push, I never felt like we were overwhelmed at any moment. You know, they had the advantage in some shots. I thought they were running around chasing hits. You know, so we talked between the goal at the end of the first with Dadonov was a big one, and then, you know, we talked about using that over aggressiveness of them chasing hits against them, and I thought in the second period we really took control of the game. I don't know what the shots were in the second period, but you know, drew some penalties, you know, made them play in their own end. You know, that's what we wanted to play. And the third period was just a lock it down. You know, you don't like to sit back that much, but I felt that you know, we were smart, like they were in Dallas when they had the lead going into the third. Though I think it was game 2.
Jesse.
Hey, Jesse.
Hi, Pete. Jesse Grange with The Athletic. After games 1 and 2, you felt like you played well despite losing. They feel the same right now. Does it feel like the margins for error in this series are just really tight between these two teams?
Yeah, I think everyone knew there wouldn't be a lot of, you know, that these games would be like this. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you look at the 4 games. I don't think we've played a poor game yet. You know, I thought the first 2 games in Dallas, they were opportunistic in some different situations. You know, I loved game 3. Tonight for a game 4, you know you're going to see their best, and you know I thought we were good tonight considering the situation. So I'm excited about our group getting home.
Right side.
Hey, Pete.
Hey, Alan.
Good to see you. Is there any concerted strategy on where to shoot on Logan? There seems to be a lot of high shots.
No, not really. You know, great goalie. I mean, you can say that. I mean, last night he stopped absolutely everything we shot. So, you know, I think you've just got to volume, get to the net. We got a few bounces tonight. You got to hope that carries over.
Leah.
With the up and down season that Dellandrea had this year, Jamie just said that he's one of the best teammates on this
Yeah.
team. What is it like for you guys to see him have a moment like
Yeah,
this?
you know what, he's a beloved guy in our dressing room, really popular player in person, and you can feel the group pulling for him, you know, when he jumps in, and to his credit, he's ready, and whatever it takes, and you know, he likes playing Vegas. I think he's you know, I don't know, what does he have, 3 goals in here in the last, you know, going back to last year's playoffs, so. But he's a playoff type player. He's a playoff type character player. He doesn't shrink in the moment. He's not afraid of the physical piece of it. So, you know, I'm not surprised he's having an effect on the games.
Last one in the middle, right?
Hey Pete, Chris
Hey.
Chapman, Fox Sports
Morning,
Las
Chris.
Vegas. Last year, Vegas, they kind of adopted a slogan, "It hurts to win."
Yeah.
On Roope's goal, it looked like it hurt a lot.
Yeah.
And he gets up, he scores that winning goal, or the empty net goal. Is this the kind of play that could maybe help him build? Because I know coming in tonight, he had 0 points in the series.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, you hope sometimes the scorer just needs an empty net goal like that to get going on track again. But he did some great work away from the puck tonight that doesn't show up on a score sheet. Block shot, you know, he blocks a shot. Matt Duchene blocks a couple shots in the third. And we've got some good buy-in from key guys there. You know, there's a lot of guys in that room that want to win.